Now, the African Union Commission has come under fire after sacking its envoy to the United States, Dr. Arikana Chihombori. A letter from the AU chair, Musa Faki Mahamat, to Dr. Chihombori, published online, has been circulating on social media. And in reaction, an online petition has also been launched to demand her reinstatement. We cross now to our correspondent in Ethiopia, where the AU is headquartered. Coletta Wanjohi is in Addis Ababa. Coletta, thanks very much indeed for joining us. Perhaps you can start by telling us what do you think has caused the sacking of Dr. Chihombori Kwao? She has been quite outspoken for a number of years now, it seems.
Yes, and I just spoke to the spokesperson of the African Union Commission Chair, Mr. Muhammad Faki, who gave out a termination letter on 7th October. And Eba Kalondo, the spokesperson, says there is nothing peculiar about or nothing extraordinary about the termination of her contract. She says that ambassadors or special envoys are diplomatic servants or on political appointments, so they serve at the pleasure of the appointing authority. And in this case, the appointing authority was the African Union. The doctor was appointed in 2016, which is way before the AU Commission Chairperson Muhammad Faki took over, which was in 2017. So he says he retained her because her work spoke for itself. It was commendable. And now it is time for the AU Commission Chairperson to choose another African to take over. So the AU Commission and the African Union is saying that the doctor has to have a reason to fight termination of her contract because she, the doctor for the special envoy understands the terms and conditions of the service, and this means that as a diplomatic appointee, she should be able to understand that the appointing authority has the power to withdraw or terminate the contract, and there is nothing peculiar, nothing bad about that. That's what the African Union Commission is saying.
All right, so that's the official word, but people are speculating is that she's been quite outspoken about colonial powers and their role that they continue to play on the continent.
Yes, well, if you look at the people who are putting out the petition saying that they are vouching for her to be returned to the post, they say it's because some of the statements she has been making, for example, saying that France in particular is taking a lot of money from Africa, over $500 billion or $500 billion a year, and she has criticized France, and those who are supporting her say that the fact that the African Union Commission chairperson is from Chad, and Chad is very close to France, then probably that really became jittery, or the AU Commission chairperson Muhammad Faki was annoyed or maybe irritated by her comments. And but before that, we know that she's been vocal ever since 2016, speaking for the Africa's voice, saying that Africans need to be more independent and not really what she has termed as neocolonialism need to be put behind. So that is the speculation, and of course the African Union is defending itself and saying that it's just one of the routine rotations that it's doing.
Do we have any idea how Dr. Chihombori has reacted to this news?
Well, so far she has been quiet. She has been quiet, but we are seeing people behind her who are defending her. So we do not understand or we do not know if she supports the petitions that have been brought forth. She has not come out to refute and tell the petitioners to stop. So probably she is happy with the petitions, but she has also not come out to directly attack the AU Commission or the African Union for, terminating her contract. We're expecting probably being a person of very high profile. Maybe she will write something, maybe she will say something, but at the moment she has really taken, a position which leaves people speculation.
Have you been able to gauge reaction at the AU headquarters itself? Are they falling into line behind their chief executive, as it were?
Yes, the African Union and the whole administration falls behind the decision of the AU Commission chairperson, because they say contracts that are given by the African Union to special envoys, to workers and all employees are well defined, and people understand there are those positions within the African Union that are political positions where appointments are made, and there are those that are professional positions where retractions or being terminated would be according to terms and conditions. So for those who understand the diplomatic aspects of working for the African Union, they do not see a problem with this whole thing. For those who are there because of professional appointments, say that if you are terminated in case of rules and conditions which would be performing below par, then that would be understandable. So those who are within the African Union Commission don't seem to understand the petition.
All right, let's go back to that whole contract issue. Then the chairperson, they're saying that, these contracts come and go, that they're well within their rights to make changes with their envoys. Does the contract, when it gets signed, have a fixed term, a certain period, and therefore letting her go before or terminating her before surely would require some kind of reason? How did he describe that?
Well, the African Union spokesperson, Eba Kalonde, says contracts of political appointees within the diplomatic missions do not have a specific timeline. It is the person serves at the pleasure of the appointing authority, in this case the African Union. And so the African Union will put you there in a certain position for as long as it deems you relevant. And she says that the African Union has deemed her service relevant for the past since 2016 up to now, about 3 years, and feels that it's now time for another person to take over. So there is no specific time put on how long a special envoy, who is a political appointee, can be served. It is rotational, and the African Union, as an appointing authority, has the power to keep rotating or to terminate that and stick, and they are kind of targets of, because if you look at the letter that the African Union Commission chairperson wrote, he was clear, and I think that was so clever of him to write that the termination is within the rules and conditions of the appointment. So that gives the appointing authority, the African Union, the power to terminate whenever it feels then that the services are enough.
All right, so unlikely that the AU will be moved by any online petitions. All right, so perhaps finally, just on an unrelated issue, what can you tell us about this Grand Ethiopian Renaissance Dam? It seems it's been a bone of contention between Egypt and Ethiopia, and those leaders may be meeting over the issue a little bit later on this month in Russia.
Yes, it is a big it has been a contention between Egypt and Ethiopia for the past 8 years. Now, Ethiopia is building a dam on River Nile, and the River Nile is shared by about 11 countries, but for Egypt, the River Nile is its lifeline. It depends on the River Nile for its water. So 8 years ago, when Ethiopia decided it would build the dam, 6,000 megawatts, which is really big, to make it the biggest in Africa, make it the biggest power plant in Africa, and it also make it have the 6th largest dam in the world. So that comes with a lot of water that will be put into the reservoirs. We're talking about 74 billion cubic meters of water that will need to generate the power. So Egypt has been saying for the past 8 years, one, that Ethiopia cannot build something on the River Nile because the colonial agreement between Egypt and British gave Egypt 85% ownership of the River Nile. But Ethiopia has been saying that it is not bound by the colonial agreement, and it will continue building because it has economic agenda, it's got industrial agenda. So as we stand now, Ethiopia has now changed and said it wants to build, to fill those dams within 3 years because it is running out of time in terms of in the need of power. And Egypt has said, no, you cannot do that. At least fill the reservoirs within 7 years. Ethiopia says, no, I want to fill these dams within 3 years. So that has been the bone of contention. And we've seen Cairo and Addis Ababa quarreling over this. Scientists have met and they have agreed on the issue on that. But Egypt still maintains that Ethiopia cannot. So Ethiopia also on the other side, and we saw the president of Ethiopia during the UN General Assembly speaking out to the Assembly and saying that assist Ethiopia to have its own economic plans. So now, on Friday, the Prime Minister of Ethiopia, Dr. Abiy Ahmed, spoke to the President of Egypt, Mr. Sisi, and told him that they need to sort this out because it's no longer a political issue, it's supposed to be a technical issue. So they agreed they will meet in Russia, and we know Russia will be having a Russia-Africa summit on the 23rd and 24th October, and we expect they will meet at the level of head of state to try and see that it does not turn to be a political issue because that will be more worse than it is now.
All right, that's where we'll leave it. Coletta Wanjohi bringing us up to speed with two issues at the moment, and that last one, this dam that's being built by the Ethiopians, and of course the White Nile begins in Ethiopia, and it meets the Blue Nile begins in Ethiopia, it meets the White Nile in Sudan, in Khartoum, And then that carries on to Egypt. And this is where the concern is. The Egyptians saying that any blockage of the Nile will threaten their water resources that are already scarce in their country. So discussions will be had. And of course, the other issue, Dr. Chihombori has been withdrawn as the AU envoy to the United States by the AU Commission.